First, what is object-oriented programming? What are the principles of object-oriented programming? 4 key concepts to understand: encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. Let's go through them. Encapsulation, what does it mean? Encapsulation bundles data, that is attributes and functions or methods, that operates on that data into a single unit, preventing direct access to the internal detail of the class object from outside world. And abstraction simplifies complex reality by modeling classes based on the essential properties and behaviors of an object. Inheritance allows a class, subclass, or derived class to inherit attributes and behavior from another class, that is superclass or base class, promoting code reusability. And polymorphism allows objects of different classes to be treated as objects of a common superclass. It enables dynamic method binding and more flexible code design. So let's dive in to introducing class and object. In C++, a class is a user-defined data type, and it encapsulates data and functions related to a specific entity. It serves as a blueprint for creating objects, representing real-world entities, and providing a way to interact with them through member functions. An object is, on the other hand, an instance of a class. That means it is sitting in the memory. Class is a definition, object is an instance. And it represents a specific occurrence of the entity defined by that class. And defining a class is like a class definition consists of data members and member functions. Data members are variables that store the state of the object, and member functions operate on that data. The data members and functions are declared within the class scope and can have different access control specifier, public, private, or protected. We will dive into those details later. In this example, person is a class. So in this person class, we have 2 data members. One is name and age. Age is number, integer, and name is a string. That's a standard string class. C++ standard string. And we have set method, set name, and set age. So these 2 takes member and it sets the age and name, that those are the member. So member variable, class members. So in this case, we have set some value by calling set method, and we can print those display info like name and age, whatever name and age is, send by calling set method, set name and set age. This is the class, a simple definition of class. Class can be very complex as well. We'll dive into those. How does class object created? And what happens when we create an object? So we have something called constructor. If you do not define a constructor, the compiler will generate one for you. And if you define, how you would define, and the constructor is called when you instantiate the class, instantiate the object for that class. In this case, rectangle is a class. We have two member variable, and this is how a constructor is defined, a default constructor. It doesn't take any parameter, default constructor. So then you can initialize those length and width, those members with their type double and with 0, 0. Also, you can have a parameterized constructor where you are sending value double length and double width, and those values are initialized to the member. And you can also have copy constructor. When you are using one object to initialize another object, then you pass that object as reference, and this is how is read. So other is other object that is initialized with, and those values are taken and put in the member. Another example here, circle. In this example, we are creating an object. The circle is a class, and it has radius. If you have a radius, you know you get the area of the circle. So that's the purpose. This is the constructor again, circle, and this is a member function which takes the radius and returns the area. So how does it happen in the main? How do you use it? Circle object, you can create like this. Circle C1 is a object name, and you are passing 5 is a value to the circle, and which is taken as a radius here in the constructor, and the object is created as C1. And you can create another object, C2. Similarly, you can pass whatever value. Now in this case 3, C1 and C2 are two objects. So in this case, both of these cases, the constructor is called the parameterized constructor. And now we are calling using C1 object, we are calling calculate area. So whatever value was passed, 5. So using that, this calculate method will multiply 3.14 multiplied with 5 and 5. That will be the result. So this is how a class is defined, an object is created. This is one of the simplest. There will be many complex class you will handle. So what is an object? If you see, object is a memory, is a region of memory storage. And in this case, for circle, if a C1 is a memory area, and here the value is radius is whatever value, 5.0 or C1, and C2 is radius equals 3.0, like this. So those are the value in the memory. So object can be created as local, as static, temporary object, or using new operator. Also, it can be a data member of another class. Here is another way to initialize. We saw the constructor. If we do not have a default constructor, a parameterized constructor, we have default. So default may not initialize, but you call a function, say init. Many places is used like that. You send some value later on, and using that, you can initialize. So in this case, using init, you can multiple times you can call and initialize with different values. For example, in this case, AA, you are using some value, and then you can initialize again AA.init and maybe different value, 550 or 500. So this is another initialization. Same object, same memory area, it will override. So previously it was 100, now it is 50 here, and previously it was 200, now it is 500, and so on. So more information about the class. We are talking about class as an abstract data type. Is similar to a struct. In C, a set of states and a set of operations, and consists of member variables and methods. And member variables are defined to hold data, and methods are to operate on them. And class is a fundamental building block of all object-oriented programming concept. We talked about a constructor. You can pass value. Destructor, what is that? So when an object goes out of scope or deleted, at that time, this destructor is called automatically. And what is a destructor? So the purpose is to clean up. So a destructor is a special member function with the same name as a class, just like a constructor, but it will have a tilde. So just here you see file, tilde, my file. My file is a class name. And that's how you define a destructor. And it is responsible for releasing resources held by the object before its memory is deallocated. Destructors are automatically called when an object goes out of scope and is explicitly deleted. If there is any memory allocated for a member pointer variable, the destructor must free the memory to avoid memory leakage. So